Right, there we are. You arrive up at the small village center, and you you get caught by this seer who stands in the middle of the town square, very close to the altar that is still drenched in blood. The she says that she has foreseen this. She says that the gods have put a lot of faith in you and your party. The, that you must search your souls and you must remember what you cannot change. You must forge your own destiny. Then she walks back into her hut. The uh, the townspeople, there are not many left, but the roughly 20 people who are left in town have quite terrified looks on their faces. They look at you, awaiting what's going to happen, and they are quite uncertain. They thought you were on their side, and now they see you walking into the town with a bunch of farmers accompanying them. And Simon, you and all the farmers, as you enter the city center, you see a pile of 12 executed slaves, sacrificed slaves. What do you guys do?
Keep in mind, slaves, not farmers.
Well, I guess that no matter how angry we all are, we just now after that last duel, I mean, I think we're all too tired to do something, at least right now. I mean,
Right.
we're all scared and confused and suspicious and all things bad, but I don't think any one of us have the strength to do anything.
You hear a loud banging on a door a couple of houses away. There seems to be several people locked inside.
Yeah, Sigma's gonna walk over and is there any voice?
Huh?
Like, is this just banging, or is it discernible who's banging against the door?
Yeah. I mean, you know that it's the slaves and ex-farmers.
Yeah, well then, Sigma looks at Rodan. We're gonna do this now.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess we might as well explain it to everyone.
Fine, let's do it now. The door's probably just simply locked from the outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Sigma's just gonna open the door. Yeah, step aside quickly.
Yeah. Stampede out.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Out of the house comes how many are there left? There are nine people dwelling out from the house.
As Sigma sees them coming out of the house, he I think rarely has anybody seen Sigma being like embarrassed by things happening. Usually he's just brushing over it somehow, or dusting himself off, getting up and walking by. But he looks genuinely embarrassed when the people come out and see what has happened. And yeah, well, he's just gonna wait for the first reaction before he's gonna start talking. So what impression does he get? How do they act when they leave?
Well, give in mind that they're standing face to face with a bunch of people who they've seen together with a Jarl, and I assume everyone that's outside now is basically covered in blood. So they move out and watch in horror at the scene they see in front of them.
Excellent.
One of the people who just got released from captivity seemed to be determined and bitter and sad and angry, and he walks over to Roland, and actually it was Quenar. He walks over to Quenar and he
I'm
tries to
not
punch
there.
Quenar.
Oh yes, more punching and kicking on
You're not you're not there.
Yes.
No, I just sent you a message. I told everyone I'm staying back. Like I'm
Yeah,
staying where it's
that's true.
happening and taking a rest.
Sorry, Roland. He walks up
That's
to
all right.
Roland
Bring it on.
and he tries to punch you, and he said, you promised we would get new lands, and you promised that we were gonna be free citizens of Reykjavik, and this is how you treat us? You execute us like dogs.
Can I try to hug him?
You can try.
yeah, I totally try.
It's okay.
Knowing it's a terrible idea.
He bites you in the ear, ripping off a
Oh,
small piece of flesh,
Oh, come on.
inflicting 3 damage.
Am I still hugging him or no?
That's up to you.
Fuck it. Yeah, I'm still hugging him. If I can. 3 points
Yeah.
of damage. Jesus. I say, the Earl's dead. I say, you will have land.
He spits out the piece of ear he has in his
gross.
mouth, and he tries to push you away.
Does he succeed?
We'll see.
One of my
He got a
so-
3. I don't think he'll succeed. He
2
pushes you
-1.
away, and you almost fly backwards, and you land.
It's not a critical, by the way. That's a -1.
I know,
it's-
but
Okay.
you land 2 feet away, grasping for air. And he spits once again in your direction, and he walks
Is,
over to the rest of his people.
Is Ulf there?
Yeah,
So he's holding the dead Earl. So I point that way. I just point towards him as I'm on the ground gasping.
Yeah, well, I think Sigma has perceived enough of the situation now to be adequately motivated to intervene. he was trying to watch out, but he's gonna try to talk to the people, and I will use the minor illusion cantrip to produce silence shout, pretty loud silence shout, because Sigma, as you all know, is not really the screaming type, so he's gonna use an illusion for that, emanating at his place where he's standing, wherever that may be on the square. And I'm gonna assume that everybody kind of turns his or her head. Is that right? Like, do I have the attention of everybody? No.
not firmly, but you have their attention for so far, for so long, or for now.
Okay, so yeah, Sigmund kinda needs to talk to your people, and I also have echo. So if anybody has not used this push to talk now, would be a good moment. Well, there have been a lot of deaths today, and I realize that some of you may have gotten hopes up, not completely unjustified hopes, as I can now tell you. The things that we have been talking about working the land and becoming farmers, will actually very likely become true for most of you, because today a lot of farmers died, and farmers will be desperately needed in these lands in the near future. So Sigmar didn't really lie to you. There will be places for you here. And considering the fact that especially free men died today, a lot of people that were not free once may become so if you manage to work the land. Today the farmers told us that there weren't enough farmers in these lands, so there's still this opportunity. Also, Sigma wants you to know that he was genuinely horrified by the Jarl going all bala bala nuts, okay, kind of way, you know, all this horrible carnage. And so Sigma decided to, well, put a bolt through his head. So even though things were done to you that were horrible, Sigma kinda revenged you a second time and offers you freedom a second time, and can only beg for your forgiveness that it has taken so long to get rid of this madness. And Sigma
Lidar,
will just
you're
hang his
there,
head
right?
and yeah.
No,
No? Where are you?
I walked off a long time ago.
Two.
Just I don't know. I don't know what the surrounding area is like. I was like this Vikings talking shit. I'm not in the mood for this. So I
But
just walked
okay,
away.
the way you walked on the battlefield was up to town. Did you walk away from town?
Sure. Oh, I walked to town.
To town? Yeah, but we are in town now.
Yeah, but I didn't go with them. I just walked into town. Like unless they got me,
No, I
they
mean it's a very
looked.
small town, and right now all people are in the small city square debating. Are you to the
Okay, I'm
town?
probably then off to the side somewhere. Yeah, but not in.
Yeah. The slaves or captives, they rush across the city square whilst Sigmar is offering them a second freedom, and they find you, leader, and they cry out, "Surely you saw the terrors that these men are capable of. You cannot trust them. They executed us like we were nothing. They promised us a new life. It was all a ruse. You cannot trust them."
And he's referring to the party.
He's referring to them, yeah. Sigmar, who's offering them freedom once more. Because they saw how you intervened the killings.
You know, life is hard, and people are looking for ways to survive. And I think that these young folk had no real option. They thought that working for this Jarl was the only way for them to find some way to get by. And when you're in that situation, when someone's providing your livelihood, you're quick to just do as he asks. So I don't think that these people are bad people. They just are foolish to work for someone with bad intentions. So when they say they want to help you, I don't think they are out to trick you or out to hurt you again. They just want to find some way to redeem what they've done.
The farmer who approached you walked back to the small crowd of captives in terror. Kind of like no hope. His whole body language just screams despair.
Okay.
Also, he bit off my ear.
Yeah. How would you react to someone who was just about to execute your friend try to hug you?
I don't know.
It's an odd
Roland likes
situation.
to he likes to see how the world works. What can I say?
Yeah. It's interesting.
It was purely
Alright.
scientific. He didn't actually feel bad for the guy.
Uh, all right. Ulf suggests that you arrange a feast in the longhouse and you will come to a peaceful solution. Surely we do not need to fight amongst each other anymore. There are other things to worry about in this world. And obviously he is agreeing with Sigmar's point.
Hmm.
And the farmers who took part in the battle, while everyone is talking, just move up to the ones that was just freed and sort of stand in front of them or in between them to just try to give them the some form of knowledge that not everyone they see is against them, that they have
Sure.
someone that's standing with them, and just to try to calm them down a bit and make them less afraid of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they just walk up to the ones that were just freed and calmly place themselves beside them.
And then you see how another one of the captives, he says, they are the children and the wife of the earl. We must execute them for retribution. That's the only way we can move forward.
So much death.
When I hear that, the retired Vikings still alive, walks up to the person, just don't say anything, just stands behind them and grab a hold of them and just hold them there, rock solid. He doesn't squeeze, he just hold the person to just sort of and just thinks, enough, no more bloodshed now, it's enough.
All right. Ov says that we will arrange a feast and we will decide how we will handle the future from now on. And refrain from fighting amongst each other and instead focus on going outwards and improving our society. The the town in terror starts to address this matter, and some of them even try to lighten the mood by playing some cheerful music that do not sound so cheerful under the circumstances. They surely try, and the chef start roasting a wild boar, two in fact, and they open several casks of mead. They prepare the longhouse with a ominous fire, and everyone kind of sits there in silence, awaiting your guys, awaiting the verdict.
The verdict.
Yeah, that's a tough word. What verdict are we talking about?
The fate of Hoiden
Oh, okay.
people.
I'm still writing on it. Please stand by.
It's unfortunate that Olaf didn't show up.
He's kind of a badass today too.
Yeah.
He does that most days, actually. He's a pretty badass character.
Yeah.
Yep.
I honestly don't know how to proceed with the farmers from now on. I mean, I'm having a bit hard time to imagining this situation how I would react in it. I mean, if I would have been in this for real, I would have panicked and blacked out and got absolutely horrified and scared a long time ago.
Well, that's
Right.
what you use alcohol for.
Yeah.
And war drums.
Yeah, good point. So, will anything more happen today, or will it be uh, something else in the next time?
It's up for you guys, really.
Yeah.
Let's get a.
Today's words of
So
wisdom.
what are we? Someone is writing up something for this verdict or something?
I don't know what Sigmar is talking about. Sigmar, are you are you gonna write the Treaty of Hoiden?
Well, it depends who you're talking to. Like, I thought that the comment about the verdict was mainly like an out of character message, so that there wouldn't be like a literal verdict that would have been drafted. So I wasn't above and beyond all I think joking about it. But if it was an in-game comment, then I would like to know who made it, and yeah, I suppose well, some decision has to be made.
Alright. So basically, you're all just sitting. Basically, the whole village. I mean, you're only roughly 30 people left. Guess 40, including the captives. And you managed to squeeze inside the longhouse. You're in front of a large feast with 2 roasted boars, several casks of mead, some what's the name? Scald playing music, trying to lighten the mood, banging some drums apparently. Basically, everyone is confused, scared. You guys are to decide the future of this situation.
The Viking warrior still alive, who became the leader of the farmers. He stands up, look at everyone, and say, "I don't know what will be of this town from now on. However, one thing I do know: we all want one thing above all else: reasonable tax levels. You owe us that."
I don't understand your predicament. You're farmers. You provide for yourselves. You don't have to rely on others. The Jarl's gone. Produce what you can and share it among your people.
The Earl's wife, she stands up and says, "Surely you're not suggesting that the farmers are to keep all the food themselves?"
Yes. If you want some, you work.
Where they still other business than farmers, blacksmiths. Also, there's the issue of other yards. So Sigma supposes if nobody's where the Jarl in charge of this region, there's the pretty likely opportunity to grab the area for another Jarl. So, I mean, that's technically what some of us did, even though another Jarl was present. So, there is a need for protection, even for farmers. So, I think close idea would be to kinda add the area to Reykjavik and maybe make some kind of treaty with Reykjavik, protection for some kind of food.
The Viking would-
Everybody who has a fair trade can join the guild, and if you are able to offer proof that you provide work, you'll get food stamps. You can turn in those food stamps to receive food from the farmers to feed your family. If you don't, and you're just an earl or an earl's wife who just sits on her ass doing nothing all day, then you won't get anything.
She says that this is the way it always has been, and it always will be. I do not know what society you are from, but even if you remove us, there won't be long before there's a new earl in place. The best thing we can do
Why
here
is that?
today is to come to a reasonable agreement amongst each other.
Why would there be a new earl?
As I said, I don't know where you're from, but anywhere you would travel in these lands, you find an earl who has rightful rights to own his lands, and anyone living in it is merely under his protection or under his rule.
Right, well,
Well,
if you want to continue your awful existence, then why am I here? I thought you were asking for fresh perspective and for a different way of living. If you're just going to make the same mistakes again, then I don't need to be here.
well, are we talking same mistake like slaughtering people on the marketplace, or same mistake organizing society under normal jarlships?
Are you asking her?
Everyone.
Yeah, I'm asking whoever claimed that we would be going back to the old mistakes. Like, the idea is yeah, what Sigma stated basically.
Can my Viking interrupt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone. On behalf of my people, I speak. We do not ask for anarchy. We are fully aware of how things works in this world. We provide food. Someone else provide protection. We don't mind on you, y'all. We mind on you, bad y'all.
Yeah, well, so how you think about Reykjavik? So idea is this: Sigma wanted to go to Reykjavik anyway, so maybe could negotiate, see what Reykjavik can offer, make new deal.
My only
Okay.
worry there is that if we go to Reykjavik and just ask for them to protect these people, that they'll just come and take them over again, and then they'll be subject to being possibly thralls or something worse. So I think we need to know who is in charge of Reykjavik, make sure that they're trustworthy, or establish some sort of system here.
Yeah, sure, but what Sigma's asking is just what is general opinion about Reykjavik here? I mean, it's these people we want to negotiate with. If they can't handle Reykjavik or don't know them, what is their point of view? I mean, we can still go to Reykjavik and negotiate and see how they all behave. But if people won't do that anyway, there's no point in trying, right?
Send an emissary to the town.
Okay, fine. Then we have next step.
How are we going to establish protection for these people in the meantime?
Well, there is a city and they have farms where they live. Probably not gonna go to war.
fall out in the next week.
I guess it's a long shot that they would be raided, but that would be my concern.
You are the only capable, some of the few only capable warriors still here. Train the one of us who still remains. Help us to learn how to take care of ourselves. So if needs be, we don't have to depend on a monster of a Jarl until we find one who actually cares for us in more ways than seeing us as a comfort.
Well, so you don't know anything about Jarl of Reykjavik? That what you're saying?
What about you? And I point to the Jarl's wife. What do you know about the Jarl of Reykjavik? Very insensitive, but yeah, Roland's not the most sensitive guy. Huh?
At first, it looks as if she was about to say something, something bad or negative, but then she says that she think it would be unwise to underestimate him. From all she has heard, he has been a just yet ingenious jarl, taking opportunity wherever it presents itself.
Well, that's kind of why he's a Jarl, you know. Comes kind of with the profession.
Oh,
So
She
he's
says
getting
that
us-
she has also heard about something that might be of interest. Some of the regions in Midgard have recently tried a new system called a thing, where they present delegates and they all get one vote, and you decide on these matters together.
That'll never work. No, I'm just kidding. What did she say it was called?
A thing.
Well, we could do that, I suppose. I mean, how do you want to handle protection? Sigma turns to the farmers. Like, do you think you can? Are you fine with taking care of protection yourself, with like having a pretty important Jarl as a neighbor?
you, all of you, stay with us for a couple of months. Train us so we can take care of ourselves until something better has been arranged. Then, all of you, go to the city uh, and see it for yourselves. How does it work? Are the people happy? And above all, what kind of person the Jarl is? Then return back and tell us of what you have seen.
Okay, fine. Sigma's fine with plan.
You help us now, but all the anger and death is still too close. For some time, you can stay and train us, but then just leave and be of use in the other town. Let us handle all our feelings without you nearby. Then you can return.
Fine.
That also sounds fair.
You are restless. You are not the kind of people that wants to remain. You exist to be in between destinations. Your entire reason of living is drifting around endlessly. So do so and be of good use at the same time.
Well, on the other, I always said Sigma kind of a drifter. So yeah, maybe you're right.
Stay, rest, and train us, then leave and do whatever it is that is your nature. That will help us, and that will keep you away from us until till you return to tell us of what you have seen. It has to be this way.
Fine. Sounds good. Sigma's okay with it.
Everyone else, does any one of you have any objections? Does any one of you feel differently? All of you? Any one of you?
After a brief consideration, Ulf says, "What gives you the right to rule over us and Hoyden? This is, after all, our town."
You might be the one to have it now. You might be the ones who have the strength to keep it for yourselves. However, none of you strike me as the persons that lingers in what you in whatever place you take. This city might be yours by force, but let us, who has grown up here, who wants to make it prosper while remaining here, be the ones to do so. You can have or feel ownership over it as much as you want, but let us handle it. We will do it better than you, because we don't plan on leaving. I
I
know
think
you do.
there's no question you should have a big say in this. I think Ulf's point, and I give him a dirty look, is that maybe we should have a few people from town sort of on some sort of either committee or something that are, or some elders group that's in charge of making these decisions instead of one person.
Ulf says, "Yeah."
That is acceptable. I don't have any plans on becoming like that dreadful Yarl you just killed. I don't mind making decisions together with the rest of my townsfolk.
I think he was thinking more about making decisions together with us.
Maybe.
Well, how will you make that work? Will one of you remain here forever?
Well, you know, if you, for example, have farm with thralls and one main free man, and free man leaves, there's some kind of structure. There's first, second free man, something like that. We can work something out, even though we're gone. I mean, you seem interested.
Indeed.
Handle common all day thing. So why not? If we agree on it.
So be it. I agree.
Okay, fine. Then we have a deal for next future, close future.
Ulf nods along and says, "Fine by me."
I was kind of worried for a second there.
All right. The Earl's wife stands up and she says, "By the witness of the gods, this is our agreement. Anyone who directly opposes our agreement or does not abide by it from now on will be punished by the gods, will die a unhonorable death, never reaching Valhalla. Now let us rest and let us mourn the dead, and tomorrow we will have a pyre for the dead."
I seem to remember something about feasting the night before.
You're at the feast.
Oh, yeah. Fine.
Nom, nom, nom.
Then let's do that.
Such a dumb thing to say when you have two boars in front of you.
Yeah, well, because she stated like it sounded like she was.
Did you get a concussion, Sigmar?
He's too drunk.
He's probably pretty exhausted at this
Oh yeah,
point.
you've been using the big cup again.
So yeah, also that.
It's an internal thing. He's always drinking from a big cup in this hall. Gets too drunk. All right, that's where we will leave this week's session.
I have to say, hearing the Jarl's wife stand up and speak the way she did, I mean, I so want her to die, but it will just make things too complicated now. I want her head on a stake, and the stake on which her head is on another larger stake.
I mean, you can always kill her.
Yeah, there's always time.
Yes. I assume none of you swore any form of oath to her, so technically I could kill her without you caring about it, right?
I don't know.
Is this an in-game question, or have we ended the session and are discussing?
Yeah.
Metagaming allowed.
I am not speaking as my character. I'm just expressing my disgust over the Jarl's wife. I mean, I hope something really bad happens to her without me being the one who does it. I mean, unfortunately, the accident would be just fine.
What exactly is it that makes you feel that way? Like she didn't really do anything terrible.
No, but she was still the Jarl's wife when he was doing terrible stuff. So obviously she loved him enough not to do anything, and that's fucked up. Or she didn't care about what he did, and that's fucked up as well.
She could have been a captive of his. He's very strong and scary.
But also, that's a pretty simplified view. Like culturally, and if you like metagame it, it's pretty common, I think, for the kind of culture we're talking of, that you stick by your husband, especially if he's a Jarl, even though he kind of gets crazy, because there's a pretty huge gap between being the wife of a crazy Jarl and being the ex-wife of a crazy everything murdering Jarl. So I think her like her, even though I cannot tell what Sebastian was thinking about, but if you imagine her like turning her back on him when he went all crazy and stating to him, "Oh honey, I don't love you anymore because you're a crazy murdering maniac."
Oh,
Probably not have been such a great idea.
good point. Very good point. I was narrow-minded enough to not have that in mind. That is a really good point. I mean, I guess she tries to survive just as much as anyone else does.
So yeah.
Mm.
And from a more calculating perspective, it's usually not a good idea if you take a place and start murdering everyone, even the peasants, because it tends to inspire resistance in the remaining inhabitants if they feel they could be the next. So all in all, it's probably not the brightest thing to do to kill the guy's wife. Maybe send her off to some kind of well, how do you say it? Like a place where you send over a widow to live for her remaining days.
That's a much more calm and calculated and well thought plan. I guess.
Don't feel the need to be well thought out. Well thought out. You can be a crazy farmer if you want.
well, I guess now when all the bloodshed is over, I guess it wouldn't be the best thing to do to start killing someone directly. I mean, at least not yet. I mean, some peace and tranquility before all.
I just like that we started overviewing random government types in the middle of that hall.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Well,
Like, what about a gentle oligarchy?
I think that at least in Iceland during sort of 900 to about the year 1000, it was actually a form of early democracy, and
Oh,
the
yeah?
thing was basically like a senate. However, the ones who had land basically had everyone else who worked the lands by the balls, because if you go against someone at a thing assembly, they could kick you off your land, and Iceland is quite harsh and barren. So if that happens, you die. So it is basically a oligarchy as well as a democracy.
Okay, in hiding.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also no real central power. So there's really like the problem is always or has frequently been that even if the thing or some kind of democratic institution had found some kind of decision, the issue was usually even in until the basically our modern times that the decision was only enforced if there was somebody strong enough and interested in its enforcement to do it. Like they had no the thing or the assembly usually had no forces, no troops of its own.
Mm.
So you always needed some kind of Jarl or lord to enforce the decision of the institution.
Yeah.
So that's problem.
I guess what made it work was that no one was too strong compared to the others. So everyone felt that maybe they had to use some form of arrangement or democracy or something to get things done, because resorting to violence wouldn't have led to something decisive.
But democracies actually weren't uncommon in Viking era. It was not until Christianity came to Scandinavia that we started to use a more of a hierarchy rule. Even though we had kings in the Viking era, they weren't rulers in the same way. They were more like the prime minister.
Was it sort of like a medieval feudal system where, that the far, but that whatever's per person who served the jarl were also the one who appointed it?
No, the things in Viking society, everyone in the village who were a free man or woman could vote. Well, I mean,
Oh,
they did it by raise of hand, so it wasn't like super advanced, but they were allowed to vote on matters.
oh, okay.
But
Oh.
wasn't it like more of a sorry?
No, you go on. Sorry for interrupting.
Wasn't it like more of a like a justice kind of thing, like a court decision? Like
Yeah,
as far as I remember, like the administration in our modern sense was pretty much lying in the hands of very few people, but they had to kind of answer to the thing when
exactly.
they kind of messed up.
The general idea was whenever a dispute came up, either you solved it by combat one-on-one, or if that wasn't gonna do it, then you had a thing, which is when everyone voted, and like the earl would raise the question and people would raise hands.
Yeah, that's kind of like I imagine it
Yeah.
to be.
But then, of course, I mean, this was not official. It was more like many of the Viking towns used this sort of a rule because they found it an effective way of creating a happy population.
Mm.
Some towns used typical oligarchy with a hierarchy rule, and some were more democratic.
There's also, of course, a traditional thing. Like if you have had the tradition for some time, it's probably difficult to change away from it. Like people get used to being asked for the important decisions at least. So there's also that.
Yeah. Then came Christianity.
Mm.
Crusaders.
Yeah. Well, actually, that wasn't the case in Scandinavia. It was just like the emissaries. They just made us change our beliefs.
Yeah.
It was kind of a strategical decision as well from the late Viking kings because they wanted to have easier trade with the European countries.
Yeah, administration always gets very difficult if you have a lot of small democracies and nobody overseeing it.
Yeah. And also sharing a religion gives you better trade agreements.
Mm.
Because like God and that stuff.
Because of
Yeah, sure. That's probably the reason they stated a lot.
God and stuff.
We
Yeah.
the 25% discount because of God and stuff. That's also what I say when I go to my grocery store.
Yeah.
So it's really called a thing, though, like THING.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it
that's
still is
so
in
weird.
Sweden. In Sweden, we still call it tingsrätt.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I don't know why.
It's actually not even an exclusive Scandinavian thing. Like it was pretty common in the whole northern part of Germany too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like we had Saxons in the north of Germany that had some before they turned king. So yeah, so it took place. But Christianity,
I think there were some in the UK as well, but I can't provide any source for it. I just think
Yeah.
I've heard it somewhere.
Northwestern UK kind of became Scandinavian.
Oh, was
Well,
that
I mean,
there?
they integrated basically because instead of fighting, they were just like kind of like why don't we just start living side by side? That's just easier.
Mm.
So they exchanged a lot of traditions and culture amongst each other.
And I
then
guess,
came the French.
yeah. Then came the French and fucked everything up.
No, actually, it's the same thing there. Normandy in France. That's a state in France, and that actually means Northman country. So it is named after Vikings inhabiting the land.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's a famous Viking chieftain called Rollo in French.
Yeah.
I don't know which Scandinavian nation he was from, but
Denmark.
Denmark.
All traitors are for Denmark.
Well, long story short, he was given the area that's now modern Normandy from the French king, and in return he would fight Scandinavian Vikings and keep them away from the nation. So, and Willem the Conqueror descendants. So Scandinavians invaded Great Britain, took over, and then Scandinavian descendants invaded Great Britain and took it over from the Scandinavian invaders.
You guys and your history.
Yeah, so basically the UK is Europe's playground.
That's the thesis.
That's why they don't give a fuck in the other direction usually. Like as long as not some crazy folk starts building ships and coming over.
Yeah.
you usually don't give a shit about Europe.
Yeah. That's actually very true.
I just feel like this is completely unrelated. It's so lowbrow. It has nothing to do with anything you guys just said. I just wish that thing did not mean what it meant in English because it's such a cool word everywhere else.
I think it might actually derivate from the Scandinavian word thing. Because like
Old Norse,
the thing you have to
Iceland,
remember is that by the
DnD.
time when the Vikings expanded, England
Yeah.
was not inhabited by many people. So even though English is huge today, it really expanded very quickly. So by that time, it wasn't that much bigger than Scandinavia, even though today it's like 10 or 100 times bigger population-wise. So that is why there's actually way more language influence than you would think from Scandinavian countries.
Folkmote, modern Norwegian.
What did you say?
No, nothing. I'm just reading about assemblies online now.
Yeah. What was it called in English? You said a moat.
Folkmote was Norwegian, it said from, and then folk meeting from Old English, or folkmoot in Anglo-Saxon.
Oh, that's quite interesting, actually.
Actually, if you look this up, it actually says that in Old English it meant the same thing.
Yeah.
So